So the third pillar of the five is musicality. And for me, that's it's a really interesting area because I see music as being an access point. And I think we've actually got responsibility to open doors for students to explore different styles of music, different styles of writing, different techniques within that. From a contemporary musician point of view, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, so I kind of follow along a similar path in that exploring different styles is a huge part of musicality. Being able to explore and then recreate and represent different styles is really, really important. But also there's a kind of whole musical history aspect that comes with it. For example, if I have a student that learns kind of modern rock music, something like the Foo Fighters, you can sort of draw these direct lines back from that to music from the 70s, music from the 50s, all the way back to music from probably the 20s or, you know, early 1900s. And having that understanding, both mentally and being able to play some of that stuff, it just deepens your understanding of the music you're playing.
And actually it's really interesting, that historical kind of link, because there's lots of music actually that you can, in very quick succession, get back to people like Bach in the 1700s very, very quickly. And the idea of how it links to the relevance part of the real teaching approach is that really right now musicality and is making it accessible for people. So it's how we can make it relevant to you right now as a student, as a musician. But then once you've got that interest and that engagement, it's like, oh, what about this? Let's have a look at this piece over here, because it's really closely linked. And we don't want to kind of pigeonhole people into, you are a heavy rock musician only.
Yeah.
We want to be able to explore different styles, etc., etc.
Yeah, for sure. And we talk a lot about what's needed right now to be a musician in the modern music industry. And having a real deep sense of musicality and what they call a sort of good ear is being able to pull from like a dictionary and thesaurus of all the music that you've ever been exposed to. So if you're with a producer, say I'm doing a bass session, playing bass in a studio, and the producer says to me, I want something that's kind of halfway between Charlie Mingus and Gnarls Barkley. You know, I need to know what that means. And, you know, the deeper your understanding of what that actually means in terms of not just what it sounds like, but how to do it, you know, the better a musician you are.
And with that as well, though, it doesn't mean that you can't be a specialist. But having a broad range of knowledge and experience is really important. But also with that knowledge and experience comes other musical aspects, such as techniques. And actually the technique that you need to be playing metal is going to be very different that you need from playing rock and roll.
That makes perfect sense. And then the really interesting area that you can kind of get into is that there are these kind of access points, I think, with students, particularly with things like guitar or bass. But if I had a student that I was teaching something like Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know, it's funk guitar playing a lot of the time. You can kind of go, okay, well, let's have a listen to this song by Parliament from the 70s. You can kind of go, oh, that's the same technique. And you go, exactly, that's where that technique comes from. And they start to create these musical connections in their brain.
And there's some really cool ways of exploring these days as well, because there's so much sampling going on. And you like listen to a lot of kind of house music that's absolutely ram full of samples from the 70s and so on.
Yeah, and also everyone's got the access to almost every song ever released at their fingertips, in their pocket. I mean, there's never really been a better time to expand your musicality than now.
Absolutely. And you can often hear a new riff, can't you, and Shazam it and find out exactly what it is. With the star levels, how does that musicality fit in with those star levels that you've been working on?
So again, it's an area that we're expanding on at the moment, is trying to give lots of options for different styles within the star levels. So at every level, pre-grade 1, there's options for different styles you can study. So you can just start to get exposed to those different techniques, different sounds, and different ways of approaching a piece of music.